because this button is really good. And hi, I'm Normal 69 and this is From the Depths with my good engineer college of Mati 83CZ. He's from Prague, if is that not such a much intimate information.
It isn't, but you are kind of butchering the English name again.
Sorry, how should I say it? Please help
It's
me.
more like Prague.
Prague, sorry. Prague.
So, should I join the server?
No, it will be a single player building first, as I told you.
Alrighty.
Because, but I need your voice as a voice of reason, if that pleases you.
Well, I can always help with that.
You say yes?
I say yes.
Thank you very much for your explanation.
Because
yes,
right now I am actually also building my own airship.
Yes, that's why. And in a single player, the utilities are much better, you see. But that's a good one because you can tell what you are building right now, as myself. So it won't be so one-sided thing. And it's a teaser for sorry, I will look up Darko Nova, because I think this is the last unit he must fight against your ships, yes?
Not really.
I try to be a reporter here.
I'm planning on making something really evil after he manages to defeat these things, but right now it's going to basically be the command ship of my armed forces on Ether.
Then it will be walkable inside like a base, like that? You can walk in the inside.
I'm certainly making an inside room because I've realized I have too much space, really.
And you can make nice things there.
Yes. Even the Aegis has a walkable interior.
I think I already done that. Yes. Oh, tell you what, I discovered there is a reward in Steam for From the Depths, and nobody ever did that reward. You know what?
Why?
Nobody ever played through the Nether campaign in easy mode.
Yes.
And there is a Steam reward for that.
Yes.
So I know what my series will be. The next series, I will cheat in a humongous amount of resources, spawn in my most brutal unit and go around the map and see how that goes.
I think the unit should also have warp drive, so you don't have to fight through everyone. You just basically set up. You basically set up a warp jump right over the enemy fortress, and
I already tried for that, and it really sucks up energy if you put it on some big unit, of course. I usually can't keep myself building big and try to build something more small.
Then the option of nukes is actually quite good, because you can basically warp down a lot of nukes on the Onyx throne in waves, not get anything.
Teleports on nukes? You say?
Yes. And imagine even setting up the teleport for when the enemy is near, so you basically teleport inside and the nuke detonates on the inside.
I have a failed design. It's a small, maybe you saw that already, it's a small thing with 4 heli blades which are pointing always at the enemy. So it latches onto the enemy's surface with rams, and then builds a timed nuke inside the enemy, but the movement mechanism wasn't so good. But yes, I tried to play with nukes, and I tried for reusable nukes when only the nose explodes, for example.
Yes, that could be quite useful actually.
Do you know any solution for that, maybe?
For what?
For that kind of nuke, so it's somewhat reusable. Maybe an extending pole from pistons on the end a nuke, and it goes into the enemy, blows up, it retracts, like that.
I think White Flare has something similar with one of their designs, which basically does what you were saying, but with the fact that it has the nuke far away and then can be used as an attack thing without the nuke. Which means that it's rather annoying to deal with.
And when it worked, alright, then there was the additional bonus of, because it's erratic fight, the rams were eating its, so it looked like it was eating itself inside the enemy while spawning nukes. And it always turned forcefully around the enemy unit, so it couldn't fire really well. So those are the additional bonuses of it, if you can devise a method. So, can I tell you about my revelation?
Yes.
So, there is a small sea-bottom bunker of mine, and I told you that I was copying the anti-missile, anti-torpedo cannon from there, but no. And that will be additionally on the sides of my unit, and I will convert back your cannons to an original attacking purpose, because they are really good. So thank you.
I suppose those cannons were kind of almost a drunk engineering experiment of mine.
Which went well, luckily.
Well, the idea was basically that I hate martyrs. Martyrs should die. I think I need a minigun. That was basically my thinking at the point. And then, how should I carry it around? Oh, yes, I have this Aegis laying around, so let's just remove the main guns and put the miniguns there. Well, if it's stupid but it works, it isn't stupid.
Yes, it's your quote from the forums.
No.
Because I saw a guy who has this sign under his every comment.
Well,
so somebody is agreeing with you.
Well, if I had to say from who the quote was, it was Mighty Jingles in one of his YouTube videos on, I think, World of Thanx, where he first made it. If it's stupid but it works, it isn't stupid. And I have to agree with that.
Yes. It's a good saying. And because I like units which are not really looking normal, it stands for me too. So, horizontal and vertical. Oké, szóval még 4 réteget rápakolhatok. Oh,
interestingly enough, if your airship is less than 300,000, I might have a competitor for it, though with far more power consumption.
Yes. Maybe, I don't know, I will still need power for the shields and like that, you know.
So slap in a Ruby engine and spawn in your V refinery, and you should be
I slapped in 2 emeralds from your blueprints.
Well, they are not really mine, just thank Mortazel again. Great guy made these engines. He's even responsible for the original blue line engine, which...
But the rubies consume such a big amount of fuel, you know.
Well, yes, ruby does have a somewhat low efficiency. It tends to work best on large battleship designs because it is just compact, which means that now my
block per energy, I think that is the thing they say.
Yes.
So,
which of course means that you can fit more of those engines in, meaning higher amounts of energy are possible. So certain designs which are right now basically blocks with shields are appearing on the forum because of the ability to actually keep them powered.
Oh, sorry, just a moment. I just sneezed and don't want it to make anybody deaf. So, yes?
The thing is that it is possible to make cubes with shields all around and a cannon that is basically a point and shoot thing, and delete as well because of the insane amount of power you can get for quite a good efficiency with certain designs. So, what would you like me to advise you on?
I don't know. For example, what do you consider? This is one of my favorite questions. So, in the field of from the depths, what specialties do you have?
Well, for me, the specialties are, I should say, advanced cannons.
Yes.
And the cheap but effective armor. Sometimes I either screw up horribly or make something that is so magnificent nobody can beat it, really.
Yes.
And the last one is multi-layer shields.
Oh.
Because multi-layer shields are something that, if you do it ingeniously, you can easily make every single ship survive a lot longer, because fragment shells don't go through. Double-layer shields mean that you put the explosions mostly further away from yourself. And the last point until 2.0 hit was that it was even able to defeat heat shells. Right now it's good against the disruptor conduit shells as well, because you have multiple shields to take the punishment rather than one stronger shield, which actually does benefit multi-layer shields more than you think, especially with how the damage reduction scales actually from the disruptor conduits, because lower strengths take more damage, but as I believe it's done, you divide the 20% of damage by shield strength, which means that strength 1 takes the full 20% and higher strengths then take progressively less damage, though you can already see why multi-layer shields at higher strengths are actually more useful.
And what improvements would you consider as an update in From the Depths?
Well, the main thing is that there right now are as a lot of weapons that do different purposes, but they're really, you need a balance proper.
Between the
proper
weapons and the
balance
protections.
Between the weapons. Like, the armor update is nice, though, for example, lasers are now scaling too well, I would say. Even though they consume a lot of power, you have to consider that if you don't have the proper defenses, they will absolutely wreck your ship. No questions about that. It just sort of happens. And most campaign designs don't even have specific protection, which means that from 2.0 lasers suddenly became a lot more powerful.
I like the versatility of the advanced cannons, as you can do with them almost everything.
Advanced
but I
cannons
consider
are nice for that.
Sorry?
Advanced cannons are nice for that thing.
Yes.
In particular. They are jack of all trades, but master of none, really.
Indeed.
Furthermore, considering what's in the game, like, we have railguns, we have lasers, we even have particle cannons.
Yes, a lot of
There was supposedly an update which got turned into the particle cannon update for plasma type shells, which I would find really cool. And then maybe something like, I'd say, efficient, though very expensive to start off with, and high power source with high power density, and a lot of drawbacks, but...
And what would this be?
Well, something that can generate a lot of power, but consumes a lot as well, and isn't that large. Like, steam turbines they have the problem of not being that efficient and still needing a lot of space. So
and slow
maybe
to start
something
up,
like
yes.
a reactor. Some kind of reactor might be actually good.
They are working something like that, no?
Well, there's a mod for that, but I didn't get it to work.
Oh, only a mod.
But I would consider that to be maybe a good solution for the state in which most vessels are right now. And then maybe having something like combined arms campaign could be quite nice.
Combined arms?
So you basically have to assault the land installations as well, while also fighting on water, because right now basically the only campaign that kind of does that is GLAW, and that is volume limited and severely map size limited as well.
So just a small game.
Yes.
But you know you can redesign it in the designer just with a few clicks, I hope.
I haven't looked at that specifically, but I've heard of that.
So that's a good thing.
I mean, but having an official campaign would mean that there are more designs to fight, and, well, you get all of the troubleshooting out of the way because ships won't spawn on land.
Yes, but that's funny too.
Sometimes it is funny, but sometimes it's really annoying to deal with. Imagine in the mountains near basically Airwick, which when you are fighting the deep water guard, some of the mountains are actually almost in space, which means that from my point of view, some of my aircraft drift away when they are trying to get to the enemy, for example. Then airships don't have power at at that kind of altitude as well, which means that they drop dead and can't really find and slowly can kill themselves. But all things considered, From the Depths is really nice at this point.
A lot of things were made which we like.
Yes. Though certainly there could be an improvement to heat mechanics with advanced cannons, because
the heat shells? You mean the heat shells? Yes?
At large calibers they are very powerful indeed, but using them at lower calibers is basically a death sentence for you, because you won't do any damage.
Really? Then I will change. I need to change 2 of my cannons then.
Because penetration metrics at something like 150 millimeters are so low that a single air gap inside of the enemy ship will basically counteract it.
Oh, you say heat? I will have to check, because I think I made low caliber hash. I don't know now really.
If hash, then that's still higher caliber heat and hash always works better. Than small calibers. Small calibers are basically sabot shells and fragments and hollow points, but that's about it.
Is hollow point good for anything, you say?
It should technically have the same mechanics as hash shells, or it has kinetic damage, one of those two. But it has a fixed armor piercing value, which means that it's great for making smaller shells, really. So you can use kinetic shells, which would at low calibers have something like AP of 6. You can increase that to AP of 10, which is the fixed value for hollow point shells.
I see.
And I think they even have the chance of creating interior spalling, but I'm not sure about that.
1, 2, 3. No. 1, 2, 3, 7, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I need to elongate your cannon's neck 1 block.
Yes, so that's a problem with most of my cannons made for the early game. They have 1 meter neck, because if you don't count an explosive, 1 meter metal is good against everything.
And I saw a forum entry today that in the developer version there is the new explosive routines, and for testing that's why they put in temporarily those explosion boom blocks, because that will be the test for the new explosion.
Yes.
And they won't go around the cannons more. I mean the explosive damage.
That's actually quite a nice improvement. I wanted to talk about that because sometimes you really need the 2 meter radius, because physics engine, so 2 meter armor is necessary at certain points, because with physics simulation at lower frame rates you get HE shells that can pass straight through armor without actually having to penetrate it.
What kind of shells are you talking about, just for curiosity?
You can even at higher fire rate see it with railguns that just skip a few blocks.
Oh, the really high speed ones.
That's one of the problems, and the second problem is when an HE shell in the physics engine detonates inside of a block, because then I think it can ignore it actually.
That's fine. not enough time to analyze the path of the shell.
Yes.
If I think right.
Especially if the shell is going at something like 350 meters per second.
Yes. Or even quicker. If I remember right.
300 to 400 is basically the speed most HE shells go at.
Yes.
So
I haven't know the exact numbers, so I will believe you.
well, because if you are going in a slower, there's a high chance that the enemy will simply turn and your shells will miss, and at higher speed you are sacrificing too much of the payload. So 300 meters per second is ideal, but for longer range craft, 400 to even 500 meters, but at that point you are getting into the railgun territory. Those shells are better at that point.
Now I think I won't need to elongate your neck, because this has a really sturdy and good turret cap, and I don't want to disturb it.
You can just prefab it and put it a block higher.
Yes, but it's a really good turret cap. 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I will need 4 blocks. Thank you very much. And I always will activate mirroring. So how it goes? I'm sure of this. But can I put these things here? What? Oh, yes. So I need this beautiful turret. Save sub-object. Sorry.
It isn't that bad. So one more thing that might actually be nice to have for certain parts of, well, from the depths is having more of an enemy scaling, because right now it's basically dependent on how you set it up. If you know some things, you can encounter normal designs easily in the later stages of the campaign, but it should be more of a spread rather than just having one difficulty. But something of a scaling with lower difficulty means that it costs a bit less battle points, but can still be fought, which would actually improve the chances of seeing new designs you haven't seen in the campaign.
So it's the best course of action is begin the campaign easy and set the things for yourself, maybe? The difficulty of the game?
Yes, that is why nobody plays the easy mode, because
But how?
it's... you will be at some... it has localized resource, which is kind of the deterrent for most players. Because at larger scales, resource management can be pretty hectic, I would say.
Yes, but you can switch that off.
Yes.
If you please.
But that's the problem with the easy mode campaign. It basically is with localized resources.
I always play it on localized, yes.
But can be interesting that in that sense that you basically either have to set up supply lines with buildings everywhere,
Yep.
or you have to have transport ships and keep an eye out on how many materials they have. With then having to keep an eye out for your fleet if it uses fuel or anything like that, if you have enough materials to continue fighting or have to
just
wait
like
until...
in any good strategy game, yes.
Though in these things it can be a bit more difficult.
You mean?
Because it's not well, it's not even that much of a thing for the resources. You just have to keep micromanage a lot.
Yes. And that's a good thing. I like this kind of thing. So I'm agreeing. Because you see, nobody really plays this like a strategy game. Rather, everyone plays like, okay, I let the AI manage my unit movement and things like that, you know. And you have unit roles, but nobody other I heard about really cares. So this unit is anti-air, for example, like that.
I use unit roles mostly because of the fact that what do you expect when your main ship is basically tailored to fighting large things and isn't focused on killing smaller things? I do the thing that some of my units are dedicated supply vessels, some of them are combat supply vessels, and others are the battleships. And basically the things that do most of the heavy lifting, with the supply vessels then staying back and providing fair support, because supply vessels are very volatile at certain points.
Yep.
Especially if you have a refinery on board.
Yes, refineries are cumbersome for the airship owner because you cannot raise it high because then it will become ineffective and things like that.
And you are all about effectiveness, which means that it can really be bad for you.
We are not so pragmatic, but yes, in a small extent, yes.
Furthermore, if you have refineries have the problem of either being too expensive to use in the end game, or being too small to really be effective enough to be considered useful. So you run into the problem of making a refinery that just suits you, but also is small enough so you can fit it inside of a supply ship.
Yes, so this airship contains one, but it's, I will look it up, the effectiveness. I think it's here somewhere. Yes. Efficiency is 3.1. That's not good enough, yeah?
I mean, it can improve your resource consumption, but it still consumes a lot of resource. It should be something along the lines of still 7 resource per 10.
Oh, the efficiency is how much resource?
Well,
one resource is this much fuel?
Well, the efficiency is the thing that is basically a coefficient of how the fuel gets gauged, of how much you make per how much time. I don't know the exact math behind it, but it definitely is used in the calculations, which means higher efficiency, more efficient design, basically. At sea level, one of my first refineries for the campaign has something like 30 efficiency, which means that you get 100 materials per minute and you create 2,300 fuel or so, which compared to 500 materials for 5,000 fuel is sometimes rather, I should say, a remarkable increase in material efficiency, because your materials will last longer.
Yes, but I think I should go. I'm just experimenting with fuel. I was full on RTGs, but so much people were explaining it to me, some rather forcefully, that no, those things are inefficient, use fuel. So I think I will try to use fuel then. But I'm trying now for going not consuming fuel, so I stop my engines and things like that, you know.
The most efficient way of not using fuel is actually turning off the shields on
yes,
your
I
craft.
do that too, when there are no enemies, no shields.
But I think I have come up with an idea that could be useful for larger designs. Having a backup RTG for the propulsion, and then fuel for the heavy power users, which means that outside you combine the benefits of both while having, hopefully, the negatives of none of them. The RTG makes, if you turn off the engine before you pull the units out of play, you have zero fuel consumption when moving, and then when you get back into the game, you switch the fuel engines on, the shields on, and you are fully combat ready. Meaning that you lower the fuel consumption rate by a large percentage, actually, because your propulsion doesn't even have to be that big to be fast and effective in most cases. Meaning that RTGs are certainly a possibility for a larger fuel design as the backup power source.
And I did ships like so they were a big mothership which had excess energy, and the little ones just suckled on it. They could manage alone, but with the plus energy they were 3 times better performing ones. So the energy sharing and the resource sharing, I consider that a good thing.
Indeed, that is a very good thing for certain games. For certain gameplays, like having basically a small eye-in-the-sky particle cannon, which is powered by a submarine that launched it.
Oh, I see.
Or having a large railgun which has a power generation hidden somewhere, where it can't really be shot. So having a railgun and then having the reactor for it in space, for example. But those are some concepts that take a lot of time to actually do.
I have that in small scale. When I begin to play this campaign I'm currently running, then I built little bunkers on the sea bottom, and one of them was just ammo and an AI, so it was handing out ammo, fire faster, like that.
Yes, that is indeed a good thing for you to use.
Well, okay. The best thing is that my airship can be heavy. It's not a problem for it.
I am starting to see the benefits of using Hellblade spinners as well, but I still am mostly about PID systems because they can be set up more effectively in certain cases and favor precision weapons more than the Dead Blades.
That's a stable platform. And I'm going to the opposite side with Daddy Blades, and those can provide more like waving movement at attitude, and you can control them manually. So each of the styles has its drawbacks, and that's the thing I like in this game. So every face of it could be... Sorry? Oh no. No, 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 no. It's a bad thing.
What happened?
Oh, the cannon won't fit here, so I will do it here. Like this. I just wanted to slap it on and playtest it, but no.
Some of my cannons can be improved. They went more to the route of having enough ammunition than fire rate, because with higher fire rate you run the risk of emptying your magazine in seconds and then having 3 minutes to reload.
Yes, it was lucky that I haven't finished the outer shell yet, because I need to expand my ammo containers. Oops. Do I need it here? Yes, I do. So then this. Okay. And they are green. Why are you green? First time for a long time I tried to build something nice looking.
Yes, and you kind of managed it
I
quite
don't
well.
know yet, but thank you. Thank you. So I think it's not a good thing. Oops. Okay. Úgy. I cannot live without search protectors.
Yes, that's a thing. With heavy armor being the way it is, it actually kind of makes it really good against search protection as well, because
it has a hell of a lot of HP.
It has a lot of HP, but at the same time, it has a reduction to the EMP damage as well, I think. Which means that in certain cases, you might find heavy armor sections to be as effective of search protection as your other areas where you actually have search protectors. But I think the thing with the search protectors is that they can suck in the EMP damage while the heavy armor is just taking it.
Yes.
So, in certain sections, you can scale back on the search protection, and in others, have the search protectors there just to protect the AI and things like that.
How have you spent your your points? Your ability points?
Well, it highly depends on how many vessels you have in the battle, because the captain skills are really good if you are playing something like the adventure mode, where
when you pilot just one unit.
But we mostly have just one unit, as you said. But in something where you have a lot of units, which means Glau, Ashes of the Empire, or even Meter, having everything in faction buffs is actually very useful, as all of your things get buffs, and especially the resource gathering is nice because you can gather more resources very efficiently, meaning you have more to spend on actually repairing your things and building other things.
Good.
And then there is the strategic radar and movement speed as well with the faction buffs.
What? Sorry?
Well, there are, I think it's called leadership, where you have certain things that improve the map gameplay, like improving the basically the resource transfer areas and strategic radar ranges a bit.
Good. Oda. Jó. Rendítsek, köszönöm szépen. Cuki vagy. Like this. And you. Like that. Nice. good. It pleases my eyes. No, I marked it up. Oh shit. Yes. Yep. Jó, köszönöm. Jó, köszönöm. Puszika.
But at this point, I think I am going to log off for a bit. So see you next time. Goodbye as well.
Goodbye.